Tucker Carlson had an interview with Mike Huckabee. We've been speaking about this in the past couple of days because Mike Huckabee, in effect, said that Israel has a right to take over the whole of the Middle East or West Asia. That led to a widespread condemnation, outright condemnation, and condemnations in diplomatic terms are not very common with America's allies from the Arab and Muslim states, but it began with a harsh statement from Saudi Arabia, a condemnation from Egypt, then a joint condemnation by the Muslim League and the Arab states and the Gulf states towards these statements that came from Mike Huckabee. Now, Tucker Carlson is not only saying that he had this interview and he was, criticizing Mike Huckabee, he's actually saying that Netanyahu threatened his family. Israel targeted his family. Netanyahu believes in blood guilt. And Israel, according to him, he's questioning Israel's right to exist. Now, the Israelis are saying that he launched unsubstantiated claims echoing anti-Semitic tropes, falsely saying Herzog visited Epstein Island. And they're saying that that was an AI-generated image of the Israeli president, Yitzhak Herzog. However, Herzog was mentioned in the files, according to some revelations that we actually saw. But notice how quick they are to start literally using the anti-Semitism card. Using the anti-Semitism card against Tucker Carlson because he said that he criticized Mike Huckabee and he said that Netanyahu threatened his family. Is it likely that Benjamin Netanyahu tried to threaten Tucker Carlson or his family? And would they go to that extent? Are they that pathetic? And the fact of the matter is 100%. Firstly, in one of the Jewish conferences in the United States, a Zionist Jewish conference, they had this orchestrated protest saying that, raising banners saying like Tucker is not MAGA and all of that. Their mouthpieces in the United States are trying to delegitimize Tucker Carlson. Again, regardless of what you think of Tucker Carlson, but some people say he's a CIA asset because his dad was, and there are certain limits he doesn't reach. You got all of that. Doesn't matter what you think of him. But he has been critical of Israel. He was talking about the atrocities. He actually visited some of the casualties, the wounded from Gaza when he was in Qatar as well. Israel lost its mind again and called that visit anti-Semitic too, because he simply went and visited people who were wounded, children and maimed children and men and women. So they have this campaign through their mouthpieces, orchestrated campaign through the big Zionist mouths in the United States, bots, what have you, their typical campaigns. And then they're also trying to support the opposing side as much as possible. When Netanyahu was meeting with these influencers in the United States, in what looked more of a class rather than any sort of meeting. He said class. And what's important and what's the next move? TikTok, we have it. The next is X, speaking with Elon and what have you. Because they're not happy about the fact that someone can still criticize Israel on any platform. Then, we had revelations. Firstly, Charlie Kirk, another man who was an apologist for genocide, who was ignoring the brutal slaughter of infants in Gaza, and a staunch pro-Zionist who started to ask questions. He started to ask questions. He was assassinated in broad daylight. Multiple figures who started to oppose Israel spoke about death threats, actual death threats. Many of them faced assassination attempts. This is a pattern that Israel uses, and they always try to bring about a group of people, whether it's in the, if there's a voice in the Republican Party, for example, or every AIPAC supported a congressman or what have you, to start attacking them, delegitimize them, and then use anything in their power to try and silence them, whether through money, whether through communication, whether through a handler. You know, many of these people have handlers. Like you heard the revelation of, was it Thomas Massey at the time, who said that every one of them has an AIPAC handler. I'm not sure if it was Thomas Massey or someone else who, from the Republican side in the United States. They have a handler, an AIPAC handler, to tell them kind of what to do, what not to do, how to vote when it comes to Israel. And in case they are absent, they can go like Randy Fine and start pressing the buttons. All of this is weakness, because when you start being afraid of criticism, when you start being reluctant, when you start showing paranoia, and that is the most accurate description of what Israel is seeing now, paranoia from anyone changing their mind, paranoia from criticism. And by the way, some of these people didn't, for example, delegitimize Israel as a country. So they didn't necessarily say Israel doesn't have a right to exist as an apartheid state or as a Jewish supremacy. Many of them say we just don't want to have anything to do with you. Why should we focus on you when we can focus on our things at home? So from their side, the Israeli side, they don't even want to have anyone criticizing them. Like recently, the very handsome Randy Fine said that he was asked if it was okay to criticize the Israeli government. He said, in essence, it's okay, but if you criticize the state of Israel in a way that you don't criticize any other country, then that's anti-Semitic. You see, they want to label you somehow. They want to try and use that in any way, shape, or form. At least try and keep it relevant, because it lost its relevance. It did lose its relevance with many people. It might still hold some relevance with some people who are still slightly misinformed or who don't really follow what's happening. But they're trying to continue with that and label people like Tucker Carlson as an anti-Semite, simply for criticizing Israel. And again, despite the flawed terminology, again, we must constantly reiterate that. Anti-Semitism is a modern term that is maliciously used to tie the Jewish people to a land and therefore criminalize the criticism of the land because it's labeled as against the Jews, when really and truly they can't prove any link to Semitism whatsoever. And the real term, if we're talking about bigotry or hate or whatever it is, or discrimination, anti-Jewish hate or anti any other religion hate, if we're talking about that. But in the case of Zionism, they're trying to actually increase anti-Jewish hate, label it as anti-Semitism, and exploit it with this constant victimhood act that they use, simultaneously when they are perpetrating the ugliest, most barbaric acts history has ever seen, and being proudly Jewish about it in a very Jewish way. And they're doing that so that they can have more criticism against them and show the world Jewry that, look, they hate the Jews. They don't just hate the Zionists, they hate the Jewish people. It's not just against the state of Israel. All of you are not safe anyway. And what they're doing by that is trying to hide the fact that the most unsafe, the most dangerous place in the world for Jewish people is in Israel. It's the only place where they're used as cannon fodder. It's the only place where their lives are the cheapest, alongside many other things. But of course, Zionism built its whole ideology and existence on that. And they're trying to maintain it as much as possible. And whenever there's a certain attack against them, criticizing them, or even showing legitimate concern, whatever it is, they start to label them, to try and demonize them, and get them out of the picture.